Stop tolerating mediocrity. You wouldn't do it in your business. You haven't done it anywhere else in life, but you are still doing it in your marriage and at home. You're listening to the Be Better podcast. I'm Harrison Orr, and after being a reactive people pleaser for years and almost having it destroy my marriage, I now help men to outgrow those patterns so that they can be calm, grounded, masculine leaders of themselves and their marriage. And in this episode, I'm going to run you through the standards that are not conducive to the man that you know you are, but the lies and the frames that high-performing men keep telling themselves that are keeping them stuck. And the fact that you're listening to this tells me that you are already someone who's successful in business or their career. You're financially stable. You've built the material wealth and success that everyone has said we should aim for, we as in men. But there is still something missing. Maybe it's in your marriage. Maybe it's when you look at yourself in the mirror, you can feel that there is more potential to yourself. There is more to life than you're currently experiencing. And the problem is, this is not a standard that you would tolerate in your business. This is not an acceptable pass that you would allow in any other area of your life. You would see the gap. You would feel it. You would do something about it and then grow and then take the action to rectify the issue that is not being resolved. If you were running ads and you're pouring this money into this ad for your business and it's clearly not working, you wouldn't just pour more money into it. You would do something about it. You change the hook, you change the creative, you change the angle, you change the offer, you change something and do it differently. Yet in your marriage, you're probably still doing the same things that haven't been working for years. And so I want to run through, first of all, the frames, the psychological frames that so many high-performing men tell themselves about their marriage and themselves that are keeping them stuck, and then what to do about it. The first one is, I provide financially. Isn't that enough? I pay all the bills. I built the house. I paid for the holiday. I paid for the car. I paid cash. I did all these things. What else do you want from me? That is phase one success in life. And unfortunately, if that's all you can provide, this is going to sting, so brace yourself. If that's all you provide, you're replaceable. Think about how many other men make enough money to provide a living. Most of them, especially in first world countries. If that's all you provide, sorry to tell you this, but you are replaceable. And that is going to sting your ego. That does not mean that you're a lost cause. It does not mean that your kids and your wife don't love you. What it means, though, is what they want from you, what they actually want from you is not more money, is not another holiday, is not a brand new car, is not any of these material things. But as long as you keep telling yourself that that's what they want, then no matter what you give them, it's never enough. And, you start to get maybe frustrated or resentful, calling them ungrateful. And maybe even you get to a point of confusion in yourself. This is why. Because they don't want more of that stuff. Like, there is proof, you've got enough proof to say that that's not working. What they want is your grounded presence. They want you for you, the thing that only you can provide. Your grounded, masculine presence. So when they bring a problem to you, you can sit there and feel it with them. They can bring their truth or their honesty or their fuck up or whatever it is to you and know that Dad's going to look after me. Dad's going to help me. Dad's going to keep me safe. Dad's going to help me figure out whatever I need to without losing your shit, getting frustrated, getting angry. Because all that does is teach them that they can't be that honest with you. that they can't share that much with you. They can't be that emotional with you. And so, naturally, they reduce what they share. They reduce how emotional they are with you. They reduce what they come to you with. And over time, you end up in a relationship, and this goes for wife or kids, that's just surface level. How was your day? What's on this week? Anything new? No, not really. Cool. Good night. See you tomorrow. Think about the amount of conversations you have that only go to that depth. And now maybe you're in a stage where, the kids are still under 18, so they still live at home with you. They still have a relative level of dependence on you. But play this out over the next 5, 10, 20 years when they are no longer living at home and they have the sole choice of if they want to spend time with you. If they pick up the phone to call you, to bring something to you, to have a chat, to see how you are, to want to go grab a coffee, go to a game. And if they would want to. I saw a piece of content recently by Patrick Bet-David, and he's a religious man in the neighborhood he just moved to. They went to this Bible study group, and they were talking about the importance of presence and spending time with your kids, like while it is so precious while they are there and creating that relationship. And this guy who was, mid-60s, as he described him, got up and, left the room like fucking bawling. And Dave was like, "You okay, man? Like, what's going on?" And he's just like fucking sobbing, like his head on Patrick's chest. And guy's like, "My son never wants to spend time with me." He's like, "I invited him to go to a game, to go and do this, and he just says no, and he doesn't want to see me anymore." And he's like, "I finally get it now." Because through the child's entire childhood, anytime his son wanted to go throw a ball, he's like, "No, I'm too busy. Dad's got to work. I'm too busy." And then on the weekends, I'm too tired. I'm too this. And then his wife, thinking that she was helping him out, would say like, "Don't bother your father. He's tired," or "Don't bother him. He's busy. He's doing this." And so the son learnt all these lessons of, I'm not that important to Dad. Dad's too busy. Dad's too tired. Dad doesn't want to spend time with me. Dad, doesn't prioritize me or has these other priorities ahead of me. And that's a tough lesson to learn for a kid. And so the consequence of that, now that the son is, mid-20s, doesn't have a relationship with his dad, has the opportunity to spend time with him. And just like the dad said when he was a kid, when he was the one that had the reign to decide, said no. Now the son's like, "No, sorry. Other priorities." Now think about how you would handle that situation. Your kid's not wanting to spend time with you. Their kid's returning that back of, "Nah, I'm too busy. Nah, I don't want to. Nah, I've got X other thing that's more important than that." And how much that fucking stings. Quick pause here. If you're a high-performing man who feels solid at work but finds himself reactive, tense, or second-guessing yourself at home, I've just released a free masterclass that you're going to want to watch. It's called Unshakable Masculine Leadership, and it breaks down exactly why so many capable men still revert to reacting under that pressure at home and what actually changes that pattern. If you want to feel more grounded, steady, and self-led again, go check it out. The link's in the show notes. If you want to feel grounded, steady, and self-led again, the link is in the show notes. Go check it out. All right, now back to the episode. And so what they're asking, what they're needing from their dad what your wife is needing from you as a husband isn't perfection. It's not the man that that supplies millions of dollars, the perfect house, the perfect holidays, all these things. They're not asking you to be the perfect specimen. They're just asking you to be there, to feel you in the room, like you actually want to be there. Not you're like, yeah, distracted, you're sending a message or, replying to an email or, half on a call as they're sitting there, like actually have your undivided attention. Actually be able to, have a conversation with them that goes deeper than, how was your day? Showing genuine interest in things. Like one thing that I'm working on at the moment is I'm creating a little bank in my mind for the first question that I ask anyone. Because I'm sick of, and I think most of the guys I talk to relate to this as well. Like, I'm sick of that first 60 seconds of conversation every single time. Hey, how's it going? What's new? How's the weather? What's on this week? How was your day? Like the same script. It just forces automation. It forces disconnect and it just loses presence. But what if you started the conversation with genuine curiosity of something that broke that autopilot script? A recent one that I've been enjoying was, if you could relive one moment this week, what would it be? And then the follow-up is like, why would you relive that? What was so magical about that? Or what do you feel like you didn't really appreciate in that moment that makes you want to relive it? That is going to take maybe 2 minutes, or maybe that can expand into the whole conversation if there's not an agenda that we're sitting there with. But think of how much that actually tells you about that person, about what they value, about what they love in life, about what space they're in at the moment. Because it's like, well, do you want to relive it because it was amazing and you just want it again, or do you want to relive it because you only realize how good it could have been in hindsight, and you want to go back and not miss the moment, and you just unraveled or opened up a level of communication and conversation that most people don't even have with themselves, let alone another human being. And think about how much more engaged you would be if someone else was asking you that question. Yeah. And so when we start to ask those questions of our wife or of our kids, it makes it so much easier for us to be present in that moment. Like, just start at the dinner table. You open the dinner table conversation with something like that, and naturally it breaks yours and everybody else's autopilot script. Everybody's thinking, everybody's listening to a new degree, and then you learn something about each person. And then maybe you make that a theme or a game. Each night, someone different has to come up with a question that is not how is it going, how was your day, like any of that generic stuff, something that breaks that autopilot script. And that's just one meal. Think about how many, like the depth in which the conversations you would have with each of those people in your family and the family as a whole. If that was your new nightly routine, like that was the type of conversation that you guys shared. Then when it comes to the deeper stuff, it's no longer this massive jump between, we're normally at surface level and now there's this deep emotional gash or elephant in the room that we need to address. It's much easier because people feel safe in that presence. So that's the first one. The first frame that so many men get stuck in is that my provision is financial and that should be enough. It's not. And to the second point, your marriage will not fix itself. Your marriage will not magically just get better once the kids move out, once you've retired, once you've got to that next level of business, once you've got the six pack, once whatever that marker is that you've determined as, then the stress will be gone. Then we'll have time for each other and date nights. Then all this stuff will happen. Because it's not true. There have already been milestones in your life where you said something would happen and you passed those and kept going, and it didn't. You just moved the milestone a little bit further. And maybe it was to work on your business. Sorry, maybe to work on your marriage. Maybe it was to work on your health. Maybe it was to prioritize the family. Maybe it was to prioritize yourself. and you keep kicking that can down the road. But what does that cost you? Not in dollars, but like, what does that cost you in connection? What does that cost you in respect? And not just in with them, but also like the man in the mirror. Like, think about how much brain capacity and then it takes up, and how much disappointment it breeds, repeating the same cycles and telling yourself the same thing for months, for years, beating your head against the wall. But in business, if you did the same thing, you wouldn't be here. Your business would have gone under. You would have sank during COVID. You would have like failed well before this. But in business, you pivot. You don't take it personally. This is not working. This is not the direction I want to go. We change it. This ad or this campaign isn't working. Learn from it, change it, and then you grow. But somehow there's a disconnect. For a lot of men, there seems to be a massive barrier in taking this step on a personal front. Like in business, hiring someone that has the level of expertise to fill that role because it's not your area of expertise doesn't seem like an issue. Getting a marketing expert or a business consultant or like any of these experts to come in and plug the hole of the skill or the knowledge or the execution deficiency that is holding your business back seems to be like a logical step. But when it comes to our personal life and our business and our marriage, then there's this ego or this shame around having to speak to someone else, someone to show us what's not working, where we could be better, what we're doing wrong. And there's this belief of, well, I've done this in business. I should be able to do it myself. But up until now, there's very few one-man operations that are significantly successful. Sure, that might change over the next decade or two with AI. You might see the first billionaire on a one-man company. But up until now, most successful businesses are teams. Most people in their business journey have had some level of consulting, some level of guidance, some level of management, hired other staff so they don't have to, that have better skills than them in order to fill that gap. And I'm not saying we hire other people to fill those gaps in our marriage, but can you see the dissonance? In one area of life, we have no issues, assumingly because we don't take it personally, because it's just numbers, it's logical, it's data. But in our personal life, it's like it's a representation of us. Like if I can't do this, if I react this way, if I've got this problem, if I'm struggling with sex, if I've got this thing, then that's me. There's shame, there's disappointment, there's like all these things about what that says about my character, about me as a man. And not only that I don't want someone else to see that, to see where I really am and who I really am, but I don't want to have to admit that to myself. And that's the big part. A lot of men will not admit this to themselves, that, you know what, my marriage has been stagnant the last 5 years. Not only has it been the same, it's been slowly getting worse. Intimacy went from once a week to once a month to once a quarter to now on birthdays and special occasions. Can't even remember the last time we had a conversation that was deeper than logistics, running around with kids, or just surface level stuff. Can't remember the last time we had a hard conversation about each other's needs or issues or things like that and actually got to a point of resolve and strength. And so without any of that, everything just becomes surface level in communication techniques or date nights or the toys, the lingerie, or the things that you buy to address the symptom. Like, no mistake, the sex life, the intimacy, all these things are just symptoms of what's actually going on. Like, I remember coaching this guy who had been in that exact situation, and it got to a point where his wife just stopped bringing stuff up. Stop, being truthful. She wasn't lying, but stopped sharing what she was actually feeling. Because every time she did, he got reactive or defensive, or it blew up, and she just didn't say anything, but just stopped bringing this stuff up. And at first, he was like, "Man, we haven't had a fight in ages. This is great. Like, I don't know what's changed, but I'm not going to touch a thing because this is fantastic." But he was measuring it on the fights and the tension, not on the level of connection. Not realizing that the reason that she had withdrawn and wasn't bringing this stuff up wasn't because there was more peace, wasn't because these things were resolved. It was because she was withdrawing. She'd given up. She's like, what's the fucking point? Luckily for him, that's where we were able to change. In him showing up, in having these conversations, in speaking and owning his shit. Because without that, you play that out, and that's the gap. That's the period of time where emotional cheating happens. It's not often through lust. It's through not getting these needs met, not feeling heard, not feeling validated, or having to feel like they walk on eggshells. And then suddenly, someone at the gym, someone at work, someone in this circle now provides that level of interest, can listen without having to provide a solution, doesn't have to, she doesn't have to filter what she says in this space. And that need of feeling heard and seen is something that she hasn't been getting. And then that's what creates that distance, because of what she's getting elsewhere, not at home. And I think that's most successful men's biggest fear. It's not your wife cheating with a billionaire or someone, more successful or richer or, better looking. It's losing her to someone less successful, someone with less status, someone with less wealth, someone with less of these accomplishments, but someone that has more emotional attunement, someone that can make her feel heard, appreciated, valued, all the things that are not being met at home. And that ties to the first point of what they actually want from us. Once the finances and the house and everything, those survival needs are met, it's then phase 2, which is your grounded presence, your self-leadership, your masculine leadership, your energy in this space and attunement to be able to hear what she's saying and just allow her to feel that and be that for her, be solid for her. Not run away, not get defensive, not have to solve the problem or anything, but literally just, I can feel that with you. And being able to navigate those conversations without running away or deflecting it. So they're the first two frames that men get stuck in. And the final one that keeps men stuck, first of all, we've got my financial provision should be enough. We need more provision than just financial. The second is that it should be when I get to a certain level, then it'll fix itself, right? When the kids move out, when I get to this level of business or financial, or I get to this level of achievement, then everything will sort itself out. But all we're tolerating is this mediocrity. We're just deferring this issue, when the real issue and the other framework is it's external. The frame belief that it's a marriage problem. It's a communication problem. It's a stress problem. It's these other issues external to themselves. But that's not the case. It's the internal work, the internal beliefs, because what all of these beliefs come from is that I am not enough as I am. I am enough when I provide, when I make money, when I am successful, when I do these things. And then I am enough. And so that's why we keep chasing all these things, hoping that attached to that achievement is fulfillment, is peace, is connection, is intimacy, is all the things. But that, what we're chasing, is a state. I dare say an identity. And so many people, men, even when they realize this, even when they realize, okay, I need to be more calm, I need to be more peaceful, I need to, not peaceful as in, or calm as in weak, but I need to have more regulation of my state, of my nervous system. I need to be better at, sitting still with myself, with my thoughts in those emotions, to hold their emotions so that I can be this grounded, present, masculine leader, thinking that in order to do that, they have to trade some of their edge, some of their decisiveness, some of their directness, some of the traits that have built this success in order to achieve that. And so it's not a trade. We're not removing any of those traits in order to build these ones. It's an integration and an embodiment. That's why this is phase 2 work. Phase 1 is survival. Phase 2 is now the emotional intelligence, the emotional regulation, and the identity work that allows you to feel whole as you are, not attached to this external metrics of success, that allows you to, in one domain, feel the emotions, be at peace, be still, be there with your wife and your kids like you've got nowhere else to be. But then in another domain, be able to almost put those emotions to the side and make a logical decision, provide direction, and then just hammer and tong, go hard. This is what strengthens that identity, is like being able to have each of those skills available and knowing when to use each one. Because if we go to, and this is very common with all these people, and I'll even share an insight. I've been having some more conversations, more coaching conversations almost with my wife recently. And we got to some of this parts work, and she is very in her head, right? Very, very in her head, because of her childhood, because she's always run a business, the way that she was raised and the way that her parents are, very independent. And so really struggles to let anybody in, to rely on anybody. And when we got to these parts, we looked at all of them and I said, can you see how they're protecting you? You see how these are playing out, and they've done a fantastic job. But for you to feel the things that you want, for you to experience the peace and the relationship and the life that you want, we need to update this system and update some of these patterns. She sat there. She's like, yeah. And I could tell that she was thinking a little bit deeper. Maybe something was hitting a little bit deeper too. And she said, but what if I change these parts and you don't love me anymore? What if these protective parts aren't keeping me safe the way that they have all these years, and I make these changes, and then you don't love this version of me? And I didn't even respond at first. I just sat in that because that was heavy. And I think deep down, a lot of men, like not even men, a lot of people have that same fear when they're married, when they've got kids, when they've got this life partner, and they recognize these parts of them. They recognize these things that they want to change, how they want to grow and evolve. And there's that fear of those traits and those patterns got me to here. They got me this amazing partner. They got me these kids. They got me, everything, which is by no means unsuccessful, by no means a failure of a life. But how do I know that if I update these, that it will be better? That my partner will still love me, that I'll still love me, that like things will improve from where they are right now. And to be real, there's no certainty in that. And that's the scary part. There is no certainty that that won't happen. But one of the things that I said to her, and maybe this is something that you can take away as well, if this is something that is a concern, consciously or not, of yours, or maybe even your partner's in this journey of growth. Like ideally, we're growing upwards and together. Right? We're both working on ourselves, which makes us still moving in the same direction, which keeps us evolving as well. Because I don't know about you, but I'm definitely not the same person that I was when I first met my wife. But we still love each other more than ever. And so what I said to her was, I can see the parts of you that are protecting you. I can see the parts of you that you truly are. I can see the parts of you, the real version of you that is calm and stress-free and playful and creative, and you're just in flow. And I can see that version of you. And I love you for who you are right now. And I love you for that potential in you. Because it's when you marry someone, you not only marry who they are right now, but you marry and you love the person they can evolve into and the life that you create together. Because no one marries someone and expects both of you to stay the exact same for the rest of your lives. It's just not going to happen. So there is an element of, I can see this in you, but that's still scary. That is still scary. But that fear will hold so many people back from living an okay life. It's okay. I'd even say good, but it's not great. It's not fulfilling. It's not magical. It's not deep and enriching and addictive and like the best thing that you can possibly imagine. And so we either settle for mediocrity of, oh, well, it's not that bad, but I don't want to change in case change is worse. Or we say, you know what, it's good here, but I want to feel what it's like to not have these patterns run me, to feel that deep, sacred, holy connection of love for myself, for my partner, for my kids, for the presence in the world, for like everything that I can possibly be, so that on my deathbed, I can hand on my heart say, I sent it. I saw the potential that I could be, and I did what was in my power to live up to that in the standards that I hold throughout my entire life. The standards that I hold for myself, for my kids, for my marriage, for my business, for everything. Because otherwise that will eat at you. That gnawing of, is this it? You know, you put the kids to bed and you sit there and you both just jump on your screens and just doom scroll for the next 60 minutes until like, all right, lights off, I guess it's bedtime. Kiss, peck on the cheek, roll over, good night. It's just distant. It's not fun. And sure, that's okay for some people. I mean, like, you're not fighting, you're not divorced, you're not like, it's not that bad. But really? I forget the name of the principle, but there's a principle that basically says most people would actually be better to hit rock bottom. Most people would actually be better off to be faced with a decision through divorce, through their partner cheating, through something catastrophic happening that forces a catalyst of change, rather than just this hovering halfway between great and rock bottom and just never doing anything, just living in this mediocre life of existence, of marriage and everything. And I don't know about you, but that sounds horrible. Like, that sounds like the definition of just waiting to die on this life. And I'm not about that. Not about that at all. So looking at these mental models, at these frames that we hold, run yourself a little audit. Audit in your mind, in the way that you view things, and then the actions that you're taking, because there's likely an incongruence, a gap between who you are, who you're showing up as, the marriage that you have, like the life that you're living, and the man that you know you could be, the man that you know you want to be, the man that you show up as, like in your marriage, in your business, in yourself, one that you are wholeheartedly proud to be, that you feel authentic, that you feel confident, that you feel calm, that you feel like you can navigate whatever comes up because it's just who you are. It's not dependent on, oh, well, I'm only decisive and confident at work because that's my domain. But when it comes home, I come home and it's, emotions with my kids and my wife, then all hell breaks loose because I'm like a fish out of water. Amazing. That's not a default. Sorry, that's not a defect. Like, you're not broken. It's just a skill that you can most definitely learn. And take it from me, I used to be the world's biggest nice guy. I was an introvert. I was shy. I was anxious. Like, the only time I ever had confidence was 2 times, 2 scenarios. If I was in the kitchen, because I was a chef, or if I had my shirt off, because I was sitting at about 5% body fat and that was my goal. If I had abs, it could make up for my lack of personality and all the other insecurities and anxieties that I had. If I can go from that to posting content online, coaching hundreds of guys, feeling like I am confident in myself, that I can navigate problems that come up, that I can hold my wife's and my son's emotions without getting reactive, that I can step up as that man and change into this, then so can you. You just need the right framework. You just need the right system. If you're looking for a system, in the show notes, you can go check out the Unshakable Masculine Leadership Masterclass, where I break down that exact system on what to do in that space. Ones that therapy don't teach, guys that talk about stress regulation and just, showing up better don't actually address. This is like the root cause from an identity level change. Not just more behaviors and scripts and shit like that, but actually the core essence of how you show up. Because when you address that calm, that confidence, that curiosity, that like all the things that you want to be is natural. It just flows. It's not something that you have to think about being present. You have to remind yourself to, shut up when your wife's expressing herself. You just feel it. And that's what most men are missing. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the show notes. Don't be sorry. Be better. I'll see you guys next time.